So this one was a bit interesting when I seen it, because I literally just seen it. I thought I might as well record my reaction to this, because on the channel, on the gaming channel, we've played the first, the second, and a little bit of the third at this point. Still working on that, and I just seen this and I thought it'd be quite interesting to react to.
In 2022, Poppy Playtime was attacked by the entire media, with articles warning people to stay away from the game, real-life police investigations, and a bunch of real news reports covering the game's iconic mascot,
Huggy Wuggy.
Huggy Wuggy.
Huggy Wuggy. Huggy Wuggy.
Huggy Wuggy.
Huggy Wuggy. Huggy Wuggy. Huggy Wuggy.
But why did all of this happen?
That's what I'm wondering, because it doesn't make any sense, really. Like, it's just a game, no?
In 2021, the YouTube animation channels Zamination and Enchanted Mob, who were already working together at this point, would collaborate on a new video game company, Bad Games. Yes, that's actually what they called it, and would post a teaser for their first indie horror game they were working on, Poppy Playtime, showing a toy doll under the same name undergoing maintenance with some creepy and mysterious shots mixed between. Following a few months of development and a well-needed name change to Mob Games, they would release a...
That's a lot better. That's a lot better. That's iconic than what we know now.
Gameplay trailer, and eventually a few days later on October 12th released the full game, which they actually had super low hopes for, as the promotion leading up to this wasn't performing particularly well, and there wasn't really much hype behind the game pre-release in it.
It's massive now, like really big.
Performing particularly well, and there wasn't really much hype behind the game pre-release in the slightest. But despite this, upon it coming out, the game would almost instantly explode, as fans enjoyed the unique gameplay and puzzle elements, especially with the main gameplay gimmick being the grab pack hands that were used for various different creative puzzles. But most importantly, people fell in love with the first chapter's main mascot, Huggy Wuggy, a former toy of this abandoned toy company we were exploring that, like many other characters in this genre, at first looks cute and cuddly, but
to be fair, even when he's chasing you, he is still a bit cute. I won't even lie. Even though he got all his big teeth and all, he's a fairly cute character.
quickly he turns twisted, ominously lurking around the player as they explore the rooms, before at the end of the chapter finally fully revealing his hungry and ravenous state from a dark room, giving us one of the best and most intense indie horror chase scenes through a ventilation system as Huggy Wuggy crammed himself through, attacking us. While the game itself critically was received well and was fairly popular, the title would really begin to make a name for itself when content creators started to make their own
44
fan videos
million
related to the game, whether that be through gameplays, theories, or animations, flooding YouTube with literally millions of videos on the game, and more specifically its iconic mascot Huggy, who over time started to exceed the popularity of the game itself and borderline became a cultural icon of the time.
This is true. As I've noticed this, like you'll see people who don't know what Poppy Playtime is, but you'll see people who know who Huggy Wuggy is, and I've seen this because I've like talked to people. You know, they were like, "Oh, what did you do last night?" And I was like, "Oh, play Poppy Playtime." They go, "What's that?" I go, "Oh, you might heard of it. You know, Huggy Wuggy kind of thing." They go, "Oh yeah, Huggy Wuggy." So it's like it's an interesting one, and I find it weird how he has got a lot more popular than the actual franchise, and even though like 3 games on since his game, he is still the most popular one and my favorite, and everyone else seems to be their favorite too.
Popping up not just all over YouTube and the internet, but also in real life through public events and merchandising, most of which not even done by the developers themselves, but rather by bootleg companies selling the unlicensed characters across the world through kiosks and various other markets, making it nearly impossible to go outside without seeing this little creature roaming about. Huggy Wuggy and Poppy Playtime almost immediately went from completely unknown turned to the biggest indie horror game since Five Nights at Freddy's, all in a month. When they announced a second chapter through a trailer, the video got over 65 million views, more than any other chapter's gameplay trailers combined, and more than any other game in the genre. Mob Games at an instant was truly on top of the world. However, the game wasn't without its fair share of backlash, as directly following its release, the title, which was charged at $5, was criticized for being overly expensive, as the game was realistically only 30 minutes long max, when it probably should have been
5 for 30 minutes of gameplay. I think that's pretty good. And it's a quality game at that. Yeah, it has a couple bugs, but it's still quality. I don't know why people complain about that.
free, which they eventually would do a few months later, along with the developers themselves wanting to cash in on the hype by creating tons of merch to go alongside the super short game, leading to accusations of greed, especially when in December of 2021, the devs would attempt to create NFTs of the game's various posters.
If I blow up next week, right, and over the course of the week I have gained 100,000 subscribers from these horror reactions, right, I will make merchandise. Like, I'll make a jumper, a t-shirt, a hat, or whatever, you know, maybe a little figure or something like that, and people will go out their way and they will love it and they will buy it, and it's fine because I'm a YouTuber and all YouTubers have merchandise. It don't matter who it is. But then when it comes to game developers, it's greed. Like, come on, it's a bit stupid. Anything, if I blow up, right, and I have the chance to make merchandise, I'm making loads of it. I'm making a website. I'm releasing loads of merchandise because I love designing clothes and shoes and hats, and I love it so much. So yeah, you bet you, right, there will be little toys, there'll be teddies, there'll be posters, there'll be clothes, shoes, everything. So I wouldn't call it greed because I'd be doing the same thing, but just out of enjoyment.
The devs would attempt to create NFTs of the game's various posters. An obviously super controversial move, especially since they hid lore secrets about the next chapter inside of these tokens, which after the backlash they stopped promoting and would later claim they donated all of the profits to various charities, although they've since deleted this post, so take that for what you will. While the company itself would come under fire as animation channel Ecker Coaster accused the game of being a ripoff of their own personal project released a year prior, Venge, which, while being a pretty large stretch in hindsight with very mild similarities at best that could be applied to any game in the genre, still drew interest as the two groups had collided before in a previous controversy where various members of the company were seen being rude and snarky towards the young animator, at least in 2018 to 2019, something they would again have to apologize for. But while these controversies were mostly on the internet and faded away pretty quickly over time, while this was all happening, they started to be attacked by the mainstream news. In January of 2022, it would be reported that a primary school had started warning parents about the Huggy Wuggy character and the danger it might have on young children.
Why? I get it's a scary character and it looks a bit scary, but it's not going to do anything. Why would a primary school warn them about Huggy?
The Huggy Wuggy character and the danger it might have on young children, with the article itself stating that in one song in which the character offers free hugs, it includes the lyrics, "I could hug you here forever till you breathe your last breath together, my teeth sharp and ready, in my grasp, yeah, they're deadly," also claiming they saw
I haven't heard that one. I've hugged you until you pop. I've heard that one. I've never heard that one.
all children recreating a game on the playground with hugging and whispering nasty things in the recipients. Now, what you might be thinking right now is, what in the world are they talking about? Huggy Wuggy doesn't sing or even have a voice at all in the game, and there is nothing ever about him whispering things in people's ears, so what's going on? Well, what they were specifically referencing in this article was actually a fan-made song by Tryhard Ninja, Free.
So how is that his fault?
Hugs, which contained a lot of the lyrics quoted in this article, although they never explicitly stated it was fan-made, which would come back to bite them in a moment. Now, while warnings like these might seem unprovoked and unnecessary because there's tons of non-kid-friendly content all over YouTube and the internet, a lot of this fear around online horror trends was piggybacked off of the Momo Challenge hoax in 2019 and the popularity of Squid Game in 2021 that were both somewhat recent internet phenomena at the time that worried parents about the dangers of letting children online where they could come across violent and dangerous subjects, with Huggy seeming to be the next news target. As just a few days later, on February 4th, the website parents.com, a site that specialized in providing warnings and advice to parents about the world around them, would make an article based on these primary school reports, what parents need to know about Huggy Wuggy and the Poppy Playtime game taking over elementary schools, where
Oh no, lunchtime's spicy chicken curry is making a very unexpected menage a trois.
where here they claimed that in the game, Huggy would sing the creepy songs and lyrics mentioned earlier, seemingly mistaking it for an official song in the actual game. Here, they also restated other arguments from the past article, like that the name Huggy Wuggy was deceiving, as hugs should be seen as something kind and loving, and would also allegedly slip through YouTube and other social media's parental barriers, although a YouTube spokesperson later on would come out and say that Huggy didn't appear on their kid-friendly platforms. But regardless, this parents article is where things would completely...
I see a lot of older people, not just that, but like, a lot of people will get something like everyone likes, and they'll try to bash it down, and, like, do you remember that one woman who, when Fortnite was pretty popular, and she was like, what's the aim of the game? What's the aim of the game? And the guy was like, well, until you're the last one standing. But like, she was like, what's the aim of the game? Though probably you have to like eliminate everyone. She's like, ha ha ha. Anything that kids enjoy, like, I get you, it's scary, you know, it's a horror thing, but it's not a gruesome game. It just makes you jump here and there, and you know, it has dark themes, but then like so does Disney movies. You get me? Like, and people take it like way out of hand. You're on the internet, you're gonna see something like Huggy Wuggy. You can't stop kids from having an interest. My little brother loves it, hence why I've played it. You know, it's just something like that. You know.
Kid-friendly platforms. But regardless, this parents article is where things would completely spiral out of control, as none other than Fox News would catch wind of these reports, and on February 24th would air a segment discussing the popular and supposedly dangerous character, while also interviewing an editorial director from parents.com, where they dug into the character further, despite the anchor not even knowing the name of the game, leading to this iconic clip.
It is unsettling, Steve and Jeanette, and it's called, innocently enough, the Huggy Wuggy game.
For the segment, they...
Wow. The Huggy Wuggy game? People really just say whatever.
They say more untrue things, mentioning the weird hugging and singing in the ear thing again, which doesn't happen anywhere. While in the background, they show the Try Hard Ninja music video they assumed was official that started this whole issue, ironically completely ignoring they literally credited the fan animators who made the fan song during the segment. This entire interview was over-exaggerated and filled with lies about the game. And while thankfully most of the internet didn't take this seriously, it more or less became a meme, if anything. Such a big news company covering this caused it to inevitably make rounds around the media, as there were a bunch of other news articles following in its footsteps, covering this same exact story, warning parents about the game. The publicity would get so bad that more schools around the world started to allegedly send home more letters to parents about the character, according to comments on Try Hard Ninja's music video. Not me only searching this up, because the teachers from my my sibling's school put out an email about how worrying these songs are. I came here because a school put out a warning about kids watching this. This eventually caught the attention of a local county sheriff's office who looked into these reports and would eventually release a public warning, not against Poppy Playtime,
Whoa.
but rather against various different content creators that were making potentially harmful content.
What?
Listing creators like GameTunes, SamTunes, and GH's, citing specific unnamed videos where they allegedly report themes of sexual assault and domestic violence. And despite specifically making it clear these were call outs to content creators and not the games themselves, this didn't stop people from elevating the fear further, as a parent reported on Reddit getting a letter sent from their children's school claiming that, quote, not only is the content of Huggy Wuggy incredibly violent, but often depicts sexual assaults as well.
Sorry, what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what? These Vendality clips are now playing in my head. It's not.
Really starting to hurt my feelings, it is. Like, I don't know this blue guy, but he keeps molesting me. Oh, hello. Oh shit!
Vendality clips are not helping.
Incredibly violent, but often depicts sexual assaults as well. Obviously concerning this parent and presumably many others who received this letter as well, along with an article by an English County's police and crime commissioner about acceptable violence, citing Poppy Playtime as a byproduct of normalizing violence as an abhorrent game that would scare innocent children and potentially lead them to try and hug another child to death. Now, calling this
What? Ay, ay, ay.
kind of content out on YouTube isn't inherently bad at all, because it can help teach parents about the digital world around them, and there have been plenty of instances of children being targeted in malicious content on YouTube. However, as you could expect, most of these articles and news stories were heavily controversial, as they were mixing fan content with the real game, clearly without them playing or even doing any research into what Poppy Playtime even was, and instead were spreading these mostly over dramatic claims about the game and what it was, which is unfair to the developers and also the parents who trust these places to give accurate information. Fortunately though, both the CEO of Mob, Zach Bellinger, and the original Free Hug song creator Tryhard Ninja would be interviewed by Forbes, clearing the air, and thankfully since then this drama has mostly been laid to rest.
That's ridiculous, man. What the hell?